One Piece chapter 995 left us with a bunch of things to talk about, right? And I addressed it in the review and also the analysis. But I said I was going to talk about Marco, and so that's what we're talking about today is Marco. But while I'm here thinking about Marco, I can't help but think about all the BS that I've heard in regards to that Queen panel over the weekend. Like, after the chapter dropped, the scans dropped, and the scans had a really, I think, feasible translation, right? The Viz came around and everything kind of just went to shit. Seriously, I know this is about Marco. This video is supposed to be about Marco, but I'm going to talk about that really quickly because I'm not going to make an entire video about Queen and what he actually means, right? But let's talk about what the scans say first. In the scans, Queen talks about Drake. He calls Drake a turncoat. He says he flipped sides as soon as he got caught. And then he says, so he's Roronoa Zoro, huh? It's best to crush their second and third best fighters early on. Then he says, Vinsmoke Judge. Who would have thought that his son is part of this crew? So that's fairly simple. Obviously, he references Drake, calls Drake a snitch, basically, or traitor, you can say. Then he talks about Zoro. Then he talks about the second and third best fighter. Then he talks about Judge and the fact that Sanji's a Vinsmoke. A very logical transition of thought, right? Based on what we're looking at. And also he has Sanji's bounty and Zoro's bounty poster. It's fairly simple in the scans. Now let's get to the official. In the official, Queen says, curse you, Drake. The moment we exposed your ruse, you showed your true hide. I'm just laughing at the fact that these translations, like the tone of them, they're just so different, right? Like Queen sounds like some fucking upstate professional professor at Juilliard or something. Like Queen sounds so professional. In the scans, he just sounds like a rough thug, I guess, right? He sounds like a pirate in the scans. And I know, in the official, the goal is to make it, as seamless and easily readable by everyone. But man, that dialogue is just, sometimes it can be a bit cringe, but I try not to criticize the scans, or I try not to criticize the official translations because I think Stephen Paul does an amazing job, right? But But anyway, let's continue. And then Queen continues and says, and that other guy's Roronoa Zolo, huh? Zolo. Always best to take out the number 2s and 3s quickly. And they've got Judge's son among their group too. Vinsmoke Judge. So, in this one, he talks about Drake being a turncoat or being a, traitor. Then he goes on to mention Zoro. Then he talks about the 2s and 3s. And then he says, and Sanji. So, I'm not going to be super critical of the people that think that he's talking about Drake and Zoro, because how the Viz broke it down, the use of certain conjunctions, I think and here, talking about and they've got Judge's son, you could actually think that they're talking about Sanji. Third, where he references Zoro, references Drake, talks about 2s and 3s, and he says and, right? Whereas normally and, it means that there's something else, a separate thought, right? So in that case, I get why people would think that he's talking about Drake and Zoro until you use common sense. So first off, again, I don't want to go too long with this, but there's no way he can talk about Drake and Zoro because he's looking at Sanji's and Zoro's bounty poster. Secondly, if he's talking about Drake and Zoro being 2s and 3s, what is he basing it off of? First off, he said Drake just turned and joined the alliance. That's the first thing. Secondly, if based off of just deductive reasoning and him using bounties to deduce whether someone is second or third, because that's what he seems to be doing, Drake has a lower bounty than Kid and Law, known members of the alliance. Why would he mention Drake as a 2 or a 3? I understand Zoro, but even then, Zoro has a lower bounty than Sanji. Queen doesn't have an inside perspective of where Zoro ranks among the Straw Hats. And also mentioning Drake as a part of the alliance when he just turned and calling him a 2 or 3 makes no sense to me, right? So based off of that, he's not above Kid, he's not above Law, he's not above Zoro. How would he be 2 or 3? Based off of that, I'll say this. There are other people that confirm this. Sandman, who translates a lot of the interviews and stuff. And there are other credible Japanese translators who say he's obviously talking about Sanji and Zoro here. So if we're trying to go deep that far to discredit Sanji as him not being even a 2 or a 3, But I'll say this. This is not solely on people that that are breaking down the chapter. Because if you read it that way, I can understand why you would come to that conclusion. Because the translation it's a weird way to put it, right? I'll just say that. But anyway, I wanted to get it off my chest because, man, a lot of comments have said that and just people stop. Just stop it. All right, now, okay, let's talk about Marco now, okay? Okay, Marco the Phoenix. Somebody that I really enjoy talking about just based off of not only his demeanor. I think Oda is slowly turning him into a Rayleigh type character. He gave him the glasses already, right? And he's the former first commander of a legendary pirate. I gotta say this, Marco's getting a lot of respect now that he didn't back in the day. And for people that haven't been around, they were like, well, nobody disrespects Marco. And I say this all the time I talk about Marco. Back then, people used to disrespect Marco a lot based off of Marineford. He got no respect. Some people would have Ace and Jozu over him in regards to strength and say Vista had a more impressive showing in Marineford than him because Vista faced off against Mihawk. I'm telling you, these are things that were said back then. People have come around to the fact that Marco is probably, the strongest right hand other than Ben Beckman right now, even though, I got some other people in that conversation, but this is not about them. This is about Marco. But regardless, why I'm talking about Marco today is based off of things that happened in One Piece chapter 995. We'll be asking what happened. We'll go read the goddamn chapter. No, in 995, Marco goes against Big Mom, straight up attacks Big Mom. And I saw, people putting in their titles talking about, Yonko over Admiral confirmed, like, slow down. I understand why you would say that, but there are things, some interactions with Marco and Big Boss, Big Red Dog, Akainu, that may beg to differ. But we're not here to talk about that. But basically, Marco went against Big Mom, just attacked her, and the first panel was amazing. I was like, oh God, Marco heavily underestimated, like I've been saying. Second panel, oh God, Big Mom heavily underestimated, like I've been saying, right? So it's crazy how quickly that changed.
Zeus! Hey, mama.
The interaction had something cool that happened. We know Big Mom has Zeus and Prometheus.
Prometheus! Hey, mama!
The only person that we know that's been able to hurt Prometheus is Brook. And Brook, of course, has soul powers. So people were like, okay, well, fighting Big Mom would be a chore because not even Haki can hurt Prometheus. Which is like a weird thing because, man, if you can't even hurt her homies, Big Mom is a problem, as I've been saying. Outside of her monstrous strength, she has weapons that you cannot hurt whatsoever. Unless you're Brook or Marco. But how did Marco do it? Well, there's a lot of discussion in regards to Marco and his abilities, right? Marco, first off, he has a mythical Zoan. And in the story right now, we can say there are 5 confirmed Zoans, or rather 5 confirmed mythical Zoans. But even Kaido's isn't necessarily confirmed. Are we going to count it? Because more than likely, right? More than likely, Kaido is a mythical Zoan. There's Marco, obviously, Sengoku, Kaido, Katarina Devon, and our boy Orochi. And so far what we've seen, mythical Zoans, they have obviously the attributes of the Zoan that they've taken on, but also they have special abilities outside of just the physical bolster that a Zoan fruit gives you, like for Rob Lucci or Kaku, etc. They have special abilities because they are mythical creatures. For Marco being a phoenix, of course he has a flame, but his flame doesn't operate the same way perhaps someone like Ace's flame operates. And Oda did address this in an SBS. I put it on screen in my analysis, but I didn't really get too deep into it. But right now, let's read exactly what Oda said about Marco's flame. This is according to the SBS, and Oda says this: I've omitted the explanation from this war arc because I focused on the pacing and wanted to move the story forward. To explain Marco's ability just a little bit, he's a Zoan, so he does have a body. Quick aside, I just want to say that Kizaru mentioned in Marineford that Marco has a mythical Zoan fruit, and that is even more rare than a Logia Devil fruit. So just want to say that Oda didn't necessarily have to say he's a Zoan, but going into that, I think it's really cool that he felt the need to say that, because some people can be, stupid. Anyway, let's continue. So he does have a body, but since he's got the blue fire of revival, the Phoenix's ability, wounds will regenerate. So attacks will not damage him, although there's a limit to the regeneration. In other words, the flames are for regeneration. These blue flames don't have the characteristics of actual fire. They don't spread and burn things, and they aren't hot. They're completely different from Ace's flames. I might touch on this in the main story at some point, so I'll leave it at this for now. His flames just regenerate, that's about it, and there's a finite limit to how much he can regenerate. Other than that, he's a very strong beard. I said beard because of Iron Man. Anyway, Marco. So, that tells us a lot. First off, Marco's flames, they do not burn. They're the blue flames of revival. They regenerate. He's pretty much immortal for that entire time while he can regenerate, because we saw Kizaru use one of his strongest attacks and it didn't phase him whatsoever. He flew right through it. It didn't phase him. I think that is severely underrated, just how great of a feat that is, that Marco can take a full-on attack from an admiral and it not phase him whatsoever, right? But again, there's a limit to the regeneration. I wonder if Marco himself knows when he's at his limit, which would make sense, right? He should know when he's at his limit, but you know, I'm comparing him to Luffy when Katakuri had to tell Luffy, like, hey, aren't you at your limit? He's like, oh, I am. But for Marco, there's a limit to his regeneration. I think the Blue Flame of Revival is a fire-ass name, by the way. But there's some things we got to get into. Obviously, Oda says he may touch on it in the main story, and he's touching on it now. In that quick remark to Big Mom saying his flames are a bit unique when his flames affected Prometheus. So, for Marco, we know his flames can heal. We saw him healing someone when we went to Whitebeard's Island, and obviously Oda says it here. He can regenerate himself. But if we delve a bit deeper, what's next? Let's say Marco more than likely is an awakened Zoan. How can Marco, or why does Marco's flame affect Prometheus? The only explanation I can deduce is that Prometheus is obviously made of souls, and Marco's flame is the blue flame of revival. Personally, I think Marco's flames, when they come into contact with Prometheus, who himself is powered by a soul, he's a homie. Marco's flame of revival is sending the homies back to their original host. Right? Because he's the flame of revival. He's trying to heal. In other words, reverse what's happening, reverse the pain. And so for Marco, I think when he interacts with Big Mom or Prometheus in general, he's sending the souls back to the host. It's almost like Salt and Moria's Devil Fruit. It's a counter to Big Mom's ability. Yeah, I know it sounds a bit crazy, but his flames work differently. Oda said he would touch on it, and I think this is a unique way, a clever way to talk about Marco's Devil Fruit without it being, you know, necessarily the focus of a chapter, even though that's something we would care about just based off of how much we enjoy Marco. I think there's something to be said about Big Mom having Marco in her grasp, right? And then asking Perospero to kill Marco. Big Mom knows that Marco, at that moment, she can't do anything to him. Because just kill him, Big Mom. Of course, we have to look at the narrative as well. Oda wanted us to get that dialogue of Perospero saying, I have been waiting to kill you. And then having Carrot and Wanda come in. But more than that, Big Mom left and said, I don't have the souls to spare on you at the moment. Which does reveal more about Big Mom and her use of homies and souls, which that is a possible weakness, but it's so much you got to get through to deal with Big Mom. But for Marco, wildly impressive. Now, when you think about Marco and how he matches up with other first commanders, we're not going to get too deep into it, but I think he matches up very well because Marco can hold out for a while. And for these commanders, can you hold out long enough to beat out Marco's regeneration? Because Marco is pretty fast as well, pretty swift, got some power to him. There's a lot you got to deal with Marco, but mostly you got to outlast him in his regeneration because it seems to, it's finite, but it's overpowered. So again, this is kind of just a theory, but you can deduce from that whatever you will. I mean, even with Marco and his role seemingly going forward, he said he doesn't know his role. I know your role, Marco. I know what you're going to do. You're going to go and you're going to reverse the effects of the Ice Demon, the Ice Oni, whatever's going on with Queen, because you have the blue flame of revival, regeneration, reversal. I think in a way he's purifying those flames, like he's purifying the homies. It's almost like an exorcism away, right? Because they are possessed things. They're possessed by souls. And for Marco, kind of reversing everything, right? That's how I view it. Give me your thoughts, because I saw some people talking about it, and for the most part, everybody's on the same track in regards to Marco and him just, you know, either purifying or exercising, you know. But people saying, well, if it's Prometheus, he has nowhere to return to because he's Big Mom's soul. Well, he can return to Big Mom, right? Because right now he's kind of he's an extension of Big Mom, but he's still a separate entity. So if Marco, you know, and the interaction is long enough, it's obviously hurting Prometheus, whereas I think Big Mom understood what was happening every time she used Prometheus against Marco. Final point, very important, something I forgot to address in my, not only my review, but my analysis, I'm really embarrassed that I did that. In One Piece chapter 995, I overlooked a very important detail. In that panel behind Luffy, we actually have a combatant, somebody that can step into the ring with Fortrix and Hamlet, and that's Pandy Assman. We have a gosh darn panda with a face coming out of his ass, or rather, a face with a panda coming out of the rest of his body. Okay, Oda, you got it. You got it. You are the most creative mangaka in history. Pandy Assman. He is right behind Luffy. Somehow we overlooked him. I am sorry. Give me your thoughts on Pandy Assman. But that's it, guys. Give me your thoughts on Marco and how you feel about his interaction with Big Mom. What do you think? What role do you think he plays going forward? Also, the Zoro and Sanji thing, I don't think we even have to address that. That's clear. That's set in stone. That's done. It's done. Just stop it, okay? It's clear. This has nothing to do with their requisite strength. I think because Queen knows nothing about what Zoro and Sanji can do. He's just basing it off of bounty and lineage, where one would understand why Queen would think Sanji's number 2. Higher bounty, and he has the name recognition. It doesn't mean it's a fact. All right, just relax. Don't get butthurt over stupid stuff, man. What's going on with you guys? Anyway, that's really it, though. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at B.D.A. Follow me on Instagram at B.D.A. Thank to my patrons. Appreciate you guys so much. Working on some things for you guys. Some special things in Discord. Trying to have something in regards to channel memberships. And for Patreon members, having a special episode where I discuss a chapter in depth with 1 or 2 individuals every week. And that would be an exclusive thing to my Patreon and membership people. Right? Thank you guys so much. Like the video. Subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.